Hey everybody, and welcome to Craft of the Yeti. Today, we're going from this very functional crafting space to something a bit more roomy. For the past few years, I've been crafting in the guest bedroom of my house. The bedroom came with this little built-in desk or shelf, and the shelf and space below have slowly filled up with more and more crafting items. I loved this comment on the video where I crafted the grass board, and they're 100% correct. I also found some storage space under the bed. This area has worked amazingly, but my wife was kind enough to allow me to upgrade some extra space in our garage. You see, a few months ago, our water heater broke and needed to be replaced. I kept the 3D printers for my Etsy shop in that room, which made things too tight for a technician to come in and replace the water heater. So we had to move them. This shop space in our garage had been mostly used for storage and to house some power tools and other odds and ends. We spent a weekend cleaning it up and moving the printers into the garage. Thanks again, Kate. Step 2 was to upgrade the lighting. Directly above the space is a loft we use for storage, and the loft area has a light, but there's nothing down here but daylight. I purchased this cheap shop light a bit ago, and for the most part, it's worked very well. However, if I'm going to be recording videos and working out here more often, more lights are definitely needed. I found some easy install lights that chain together. Off camera, I installed and tested the first two, and I liked what I saw, so I continued with the rest. To install the lights, I drilled some holes with a drill bit. I did my best to avoid getting sawdust into my eyes, and honestly, I probably should have been wearing some sort of eye protection. With the holes drilled, the next step was to install brackets. These little brackets hang onto the light fixtures themselves, and all you need to do is to press the lights into the brackets, and you're good to go. Here is my super scientific method to mark the bracket locations. My wife helped me center the lights as I hung them. This all happened during our very warm summer, and I quickly realized I was going to need an AC unit. I don't show the install of that, but if you pay attention, you'll see it from time to time. With the lights in their proper locations, it was time for cord management. I ended up stapling them all out of the way. Voila! We have working lights. For a good long time, I debated what I wanted to do for a workbench. I knew I wanted one in the middle of the area, and my wife wanted one on wheels so that we could move it around as needed. We were at Lowe's buying some other items and happened to see these toolboxes on sale. They were perfect, and they happened to have two in this lovely teal color. They fit the space rather nicely, and they have locking wheels. They also come with a satisfying sticker peel. Another huge bonus with these toolboxes is that they come with power strips already installed. If needed, I can run an extension cord to them and gain a few outlets. The toolboxes came with locking drawers and foam inserts for each drawer. This is starting to feel like a Cobalt advertisement. It's not, I promise. I'm just really excited about these things. The one upgrade these needed is a single solid workspace. And I happen to have this spare piece of plywood in the garage that came from another project. It fit fairly well, but it's super thin. I was hoping this would do the trick, but we'll get to that later. At this point, I wasn't quite done with the shop upgrades, but needed a few things moved into the new area so that I could keep up with my Etsy store. I mostly needed some shipping items and some tools to help remove supports and whatnot. I figured I might as well bring some crafting supplies out here too. You may have noticed a slight change of scenery in some of the shots in the last video. I used my laser during the Haunted Mansion build, but haven't really used it much since. It hid under the guest bed most of the time and was a pain to pull out and use, so it just sat there. A priority for the new space was a place for the laser to call home. One of my neighbors does remodels and allowed us to take some old cabinets out of one of her clients' kitchens. It fit below the window perfectly. The desktop is from an old desk I built. It's been sitting in the garage for a while, but came in clutch here. I was hoping I could just set the desktop on top of the cabinets, but that wasn't very secure. So I ended up screwing some 2x4s into the wall and then screwing the desktop into those, as well as the cabinets. Now, to add a little ambiance, I drilled some holes into the wall and then installed some J-hooks. These hold the magnetic board really well. I love looking at the board and rearranging the terrain on it from time to time. My kids also like to assist. Some more upcycling here. These double corrugated cardboard pieces I got from a TV box. After cutting them, I took them outside and sprayed them with a black paint and primer. They'll hold my terrain. We recently redid my daughter's room, and they had a real beat-up dresser that I yanked for the new shop, and that is where my terrain will be stored. The next bit is a little excessive and unnecessary. I'm well aware of it. And, let's be honest, I also love it. I bought the AC unit and didn't want to cool the entire garage. My wife and I went back and forth on what to do to separate the shop from the rest of the garage. We thought about used theater curtains, maybe building a permanent wall, and then maybe a tarp. So we did some research and found a place that sells large warehouse tarps. This was perfect for what we had in mind. They also had an option to add a logo for a little extra. I sprung for it, not knowing how freaking huge the logo was gonna be. I expected it to maybe be a third the size of this thing. I can't help but laugh every time I see it. I'd been using the space as I'd been renovating it. After a while, the thin plywood just wasn't cutting it anymore. I needed something more sturdy to work on. So I purchased a thicker sheet of plywood and cut it down with my skill saw. I wanted the desktop to look a little nicer as well, so I put on my mask and gloves and got to staining. I am by no means a professional when it comes to this stuff, but I've stained a few things and have found that I like to use a paper towel better than anything else to apply the stain. It seems to do a decent job applying evenly without too much effort. The stain I'm using is Mocha by Minwax, if anyone's interested. I was happy with the look after just one application. I followed the instructions on the spray can, and it took maybe 4 layers to get the look I wanted. I also purchased 2 new cutting mats to increase my cutting workspace. I mean, I did just spend all the time making a desktop look nice. I probably shouldn't be cutting directly on it. And now for the full tour. The tarp can be pulled back, and I can enter the shop from the garage. To the right here, we have the magnetic board, and just below that is the old dresser that stores my terrain. Everything on top is 3D printed and sold on my Etsy shop, as are the trees. The bottom shelf is for handmade items like the Age of Empires houses. What was left of the dresser didn't have bottoms, so the cardboard slide-outs work great. Here's a look at the entire shop from the garage entrance. And over under the window, I have the laser and AC unit. I got this old chest here from my mom when she was cleaning out her house and moving. Over here we have the printers. Up top we have extra filament for the Etsy store. On the next shelf unit we have shipping boxes and envelopes. On top is where I keep my extra lights and camera tripod for recording videos. Down below is a shop vac, an extra fan, and then I've got a tote full of XPS scraps. I tend to pull from here quite a bit when I'm crafting. Alright, onto the toolboxes. This side mostly houses painting supplies. The top drawer has all my brushes and painting handles. The next couple of drawers hold cheap acrylic paints. Probably not the best use of space, but it works until I find something better. I've also got my oil paints and inks in one of the drawers. The bottom drawer here holds all my electronics like LEDs, my soldering iron, wires. The right drawers have spray paint, actual tools like screwdrivers, and clamps and wrenches and whatnot. For now, this other bottom drawer holds my nicer mini paints, and then it also has my mineral spirits for washes. Down in these gray drawers is stuff for the Etsy shop. Things like extra magnets, some super glue, and other odds and ends. This black bag holds a photo box that is huge. I think it's like 3 feet squared. This was a Christmas present from my wife. Thanks again, Kate. On this workbench we have cleaning supplies, batteries, and motors for Etsy stuff. There are Yeti stickers and business cards that go in each order. I also add a free tube of super glue where needed. There are bases that I designed and sell here. I designed and printed them for personal use, but figured I might as well sell them to you. I have a version with magnets and a version without, and I have them in both 25mm and 32mm. The magnetic versions stack for easy storage. And here's an order that's currently printing. In the storage drawers here, I have lots of odds and ends for crafting. Up top are some extra parts for prints. This little tower houses my templates. For example, here's a big window from my Age of Empire buildings. The next drawer up has a sanding sponge, and then the black tower has a bunch of items. I won't go through them all, but I have like toothpicks, Q-tips, plaster rocks, coin batteries. This is the most important drawer. It has all the print cleaning tools and poster tack. Another important drawer contains all the writing devices. In the corner here, I have an air dehumidifier. This blue drawer is basically my DM box. The larger side is lined with magnetic sheet, and this mini doesn't have a magnetic base, which means it's probably older, but I try to add magnets to most of my minis. This zombie has one. I used to use green stuff before I designed my own. I've also got flight stands, initiative trackers, plastic rings from soda bottles to track statuses, dice bag, and some markers. And I take this with me when I DM inside. This is the shipping station. I have a scale, a laptop to print and help with the orders, thanks Stingray, a thermal printer for shipping labels, and then some other shipping supplies. Down here I have extra bubble wrap and my Proxxon wire cutter. To the right of all that is my resin printing stuff. I tend to store it down here as it doesn't get used too often, and then move it up on the workbench when it is in use. On these shelves is flocking and other actual tools. In this cabinet is other DIY house items like stains and screws. And this cabinet is mostly saws and other power tools, so we're not going to open that up. Alright, this toolbox holds mostly crafting items. The top drawer is tools like a tape measure, some rulers, a utility knife, wire brushes. Sculpting tools, a sieve. There are files in here, and more pliers in this one. This drawer holds wooden things like sticks and dowels. I've also got some branches. This next drawer holds my balsa wood sheets, some chipboard and food grade cardboard. Next is EVA foam. I think I bought this as Joann's was going out of business. I've got some styrene sheets, magnetic sheets, and then granny grating on the other side of this drawer. More tools and safety gear down here. I've got Dremel, heat gun, mask, and eye protection. This drawer houses plaster, air drying clay, and a whole bunch of different types of glue. Here we've got the greenery. This one is really just kind of odds and ends. And next up is cups for mixing things. As I mentioned earlier, over by the window is the laser. The exhaust isn't permanently set up yet. I've been using a piece of XPS foam temporarily. And the real MVP of the shop is this guy. Oh, I almost forgot. Here is an in-progress order. And also important are the chair and trash can. Thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more.